There are places in Britain so steeped in tradition that even their silence feels royal. Yet within the stone corridors of Windsor Castle, where kings have ruled, queens have wept, and secrets have lingered for centuries, one could once hear something shockingly ordinary, the laughter of children and the thud of running feet echoing through sacred halls. That laughter belonged to a boy who would one day be king, Prince William, and to a band of royal cousins whose games would leave more than just memories behind. They would leave marks, quite literally, on the most revered royal residence in the world. Long before the burden of duty settled on his shoulders, William was simply a mischievous boy running wild in the ancient fortress that had housed his ancestors since the days of William the Conqueror. The grand marble corridors were their playgrounds, and the polished oak floors, older than some dynasties, their racetrack. But history, as it turns out, doesn't take kindly to royal bare feet. The future king has now revealed that those very floors became the source of pain, laughter, and a surprising legacy that still shapes Windsor Castle today. In a candid conversation with actor Eugene Levy for the Apple TV Plus series The Reluctant Traveller, Prince William allowed viewers a rare glimpse into the childhood chaos behind Windsor's imposing facade. Gone was the formality, gone the rehearsed calm of a working royal. In its place emerged a man who could laugh at the memory of running down St. George's Hall, tripping over history itself, and emerging with massive splinters in his legs. He described how he and his cousins, the children of Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward, would transform the centuries-old chamber into their private racecourse. They would chase each other along the Great Hall, the echoes of their laughter colliding with portraits of long-dead monarchs, who looked down in ghostly disapproval. "My children don't realize how lucky they are," William admitted with a grin. "They've got a big old carpet they can run down, no splinters anymore." That single comment revealed something extraordinary. Windsor Castle, one of the most immovable symbols of British tradition, had quietly changed because of those royal childhood injuries. After repeated mishaps, after enough royal knees and palms were torn open by splintered oak, the ancient floor of St. George's Hall was finally carpeted. A small, almost invisible alteration, but one that carries the fingerprints of the boy who will one day wear the crown. Behind that small detail lies a story of transition, from the rigid past to a gentler, more human monarchy. The old Windsor, the fortress of ceremony and restraint, had been softened by the noise of a new generation. And perhaps no one understands that better than William, who today brings his own children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, to those same halls, now safe for small feet. "We come in after hours and chase each other around sometimes," he confessed, a line that instantly broke through the solemn image of the monarchy, and revealed something far more powerful: warmth. But even amid the laughter, the walls of Windsor carry ghosts. As William guided Levi through the castle, his tone shifted from nostalgia to reverence when he passed the suit of armor belonging to Henry VIII, that formidable monarch whose shadow still looms over every stone of the palace. "George, my son, is way better in history than I am," William joked. "I have to check with him on my dates." The line was light-hearted, yet it said so much about the legacy that continues to weigh on every royal heir, the awareness that they are never just individuals, but the living continuation of a thousand-year story. Still, for all its splendor, Windsor Castle is changing, and not just because of a carpet. Under King Charles III, the transformation has accelerated. The monarch, a lifelong advocate of sustainability, has turned the 955-year-old residence into something the Tudors could never have imagined: a green fortress. Solar panels glint where once stood medieval battlements. Charging ports for electric vehicles now line the old courtyards. Thousands of trees have been planted across the estate to encourage wildlife, turning the royal domain into a living ecosystem rather than merely a relic of power. And in this evolving Windsor, Prince William has found his balance. A man who carries both the legacy of the past and the anxieties of the future, he knows that every change, even a carpet laid over ancient oak, carries meaning. To some, it's just a renovation. To him, it's a symbol that history doesn't crumble when softened, that tradition survives not by resisting time, but by adapting to it. He has often spoken about wanting his children to grow up with a sense of normalcy, to feel free to run and fall and laugh without the crushing weight of royal expectation. The same castle that once bruised his knees now protects theirs, a quiet metaphor for how the House of Windsor itself has evolved. And yet, there remains a haunting undertone in his words. When William says, "My children don't realize how lucky they are," he isn't only referring to the absence of splinters. He's speaking about something deeper, the idea that his family, after generations of emotional restraint, might finally grow up in a monarchy that allows space for tenderness. It's the shift from a world of strict decorum to one where a future king can confess affection, nostalgia, and even pain on camera, and be applauded for it. That humanization of the crown has become one of the defining marks of William's generation. In his youth, the castle was a maze of polished corridors and invisible rules. Now, it's a family home. The laughter of children that once echoed in secret now plays openly, and even the most guarded spaces of royal life, from St. George's Hall to the private drawing rooms, carry signs of ordinary love and family chaos. Still, the prince's recollections carried a note of quiet irony. Windsor Castle, where he once bled as a boy, is now being reshaped by his father's environmental vision, even as William prepares to raise his own heirs within sight of its towers. Soon, the Prince and Princess of Wales will move from Adelaide Cottage to Forest Lodge, a new residence nestled within Windsor's lush parklands. A few miles further from the castle itself, it offers privacy, but keeps them close to the ancestral home that defined William's childhood. And one can imagine that someday, long after the cameras and interviews, George, Charlotte, and Louis will have their own stories to tell, perhaps of riding e-scooters down castle corridors, or sneaking into the chapel after hours. They may not get splinters from the floorboards anymore, but they'll inherit something more profound. A Windsor castle still alive with laughter, shaped by a father who once turned pain into progress. It's a curious thought, that one of the oldest royal buildings on earth carries within its walls the faint traces of a boy's scraped knees. That something as small as a child's injury could ripple outward into history, softening stone with sentiment. But perhaps that's exactly how the monarchy survives, not by denying its humanity, but by embracing it. And so, the story of Windsor's carpets isn't just a charming anecdote from the prince's childhood. It's a glimpse into the evolution of the British crown itself, a monarchy still grand, still gilded, yet quietly transformed by love, memory, and the lessons of childhood. For now, Windsor stands both as a fortress and a home. Its oak floors no longer wound the young, they cradle them. And in that simple act of change lies the story of a royal family learning, at last, that even kings must sometimes soften their steps.